Hey, welcome to my channel, Tools, Tips, and Tales. Tools to transform, tips to empower, and tales to inspire. I'm Kim Saff, licensed clinical social worker. I have my doctorate in transpersonal psychology. I've been doing this over 20 years, and this is me helping you transform your life. Yeah, all right. So what I want to talk to you today about is least common denominator, the LCD. I don't know if you remember back in math class, fractions, that least common denominator. And that's what we're looking for behind. So we have a feeling, and then we are started identifying the thought behind the feeling. And now we're going to identify the core message I receive about self underneath that thought. All right, so we're looking to identify the core wound that gets activated or triggered when I get upset. Okay, so folks come in, they start working with me, and they think they have a litany of problems. You got this and this and this and this and this, and they seem super overwhelmed and they can't handle it, and it's way too much. They're freaking out. Whew. So we breathe, and we bring it back down, and we start looking for the least common denominator underneath all these litany of problems on the surface. And when we start least common denominator down, we find that there's really only one or two shticks. I don't feel good about myself. I don't trust myself. I don't know my worth. I don't know my value. And these negative feelings about self, thoughts about self, core wounds about self, they come from our family's origin and the sensibility of ourselves, how we started to think about ourselves from our family origin and the wounds we accrued. Right? So here's the thing. The thoughts behind the feelings that get triggered and the statements about self, they come from my fear and insecure side. Right? My fear and insecure side will find what it's looking for. It wants to be right. And so it's looking to confirm the old distortions from my family origin. I'm not enough. I'm too much. I'm not important. I don't have worth. I don't have value. I'm a burden. Right? So anything that I took about myself from that old family origin messaging, my fear and insecure side will then find that in current day situations to confirm, oh, see, you're not good enough. You're not important. You're a burden. And then that'll convince me to stay small and stuck and safe according to my fear and insecure side. Remember, my fear and insecure side is trying to protect me by keeping me safely small. All right, so that's the back history of what's going on. For our work now, what we want to start looking for is what message did I take underneath the feeling that got activated, the thought that got triggered. What's the feeling about self I have? Yeah. So stick with that other example we're talking about. I am so mad. He just interrupts me and talks right over me. Okay. All right. So underneath the anger, the thought is, I'm not important enough to listen to. My words don't matter. I don't matter. Okay. If I don't matter, if that's true, what does that mean? I'm not important. If I'm not important, what does that mean? I'm not enough. And you can see I keep going down, down, down. When we get to a root of I'm not enough, I'm too much, I don't matter, I'm a burden, any of these, we're usually at that root, least common denominator. And then we're going to know how and what to reframe. That's what we're going to do once we figure out what the old wound is. We're going to learn how to make sense of it. Right? But first, we're going to identify what it is. So, air of curiosity, right? Judgment thwarts inquiry. Air of curiosity. What got triggered? What's the thought about self? What's that old message that I just took? If that's true, that means, right? And when we're doing all this, don't look in logic land, right? These old messages, these gunky messages we take when we get activated or triggered, they come from our fear and insecure side, and they're not in logic land, right? So none of this has to be rational. It just is. And it's what's going on from my fear and insecure side, and we're learning to find out what the least common denominator wound is that got triggered. All right, enjoy that tool. See you next time.